Hi, I'm Tim Lefebvre, and you're watching Yannick Gwizdala's video podcast.
Tim Lefebvre, welcome to LA.
Yannick Gwizdala, thank you for having me.
The migration of, or possible migration of New York musicians kind of continues, something I'm very interested in. I always ask why, and we'll go back in history a bit, but let's deal with the current moment right now. Why you making a move out here potentially? As a bass player and a musician.
Yeah. Well, there's two answers. There's the PC version.
Uh-huh.
There's the anti-PC version. I'll give you the PC version.
Okay.
Basically, I want to try to untrap myself into being, in New York, people know me for a certain thing.
Okay.
And so people keep calling me for that certain thing. And so I kind of wanted to switch gears up a little bit while I have the wherewithal and the time to do it. So I came out to LA to try to play some different stuff, get onto a little more high profile stuff, maybe actually do a recording, like a union recording, maybe a film date here and there. No, because the thing about New York is, and I love these guys, they're the greatest players in the world. It's like Will and James Genus and John Patitucci, but they get all the work.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, then because I love those guys, I was like, I'll just move.
Sure.
Sure. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
I got nothing to lose.
Now that brings me to what was originally going to be my first question, which was, I consider you to be the guy who really can and has, and I think will always be able to do it all. And your resume speaks for itself in terms of like the diversity, and you mentioned about doing more high profile gigs. I don't know, there've been a lot so far on the resume. I think the last time I saw you were headlining the Hollywood Bowl.
Jamie Cullum, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was temporary, but it was right. I'm not trying to slag off what I've done. What I've done is
absolutely no. I'm just
sometimes I lose perspective.
Sure. Which is really easy to do in such a huge part of people. It's insane. Yeah. I suffer from the same thing myself at times. I think we all do. First of all, what led you to move to New York in the first place? You're from Boston, right?
I'm from Boston.
Yeah.
Basically, I met Zach Danziger on a cruise ship. Like my friend Pete Davenport, who's also a really good drummer from New York, was out there playing, and basically, actually a lot of my friends have kind of migrated to New York at this point, who I met on the cruise ship. But the original guy, I graduated college with an economics and political science degree,
okay.
And then one of my friends, Brian McKenna, who used to work at Sony, he was the studio manager at Sony. He gave me a number of a cruise ship, this guy who was booking musicians on cruise ships. So I called him up, kind of bugged him, and then he finally put me on this kind of world cruise. Did that for 4 months, came home, and then I kind of just kept bugging the guy, and then kind of what turned into an important relationship was this guy, Ruben Gutierrez, called me, who's now like one of my best friends, and he still lives in Brooklyn and stuff. He called me to do this ship gig, which I wound up being out there for 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
And along the way, I met 3 years, I think it was, 93. And I met Pete Davenport out there, who was a very fine drummer. Actually, and the whole band actually was very good. It's like Malin Horde, very good saxophone player.
Yeah.
Greg Little, very good saxophone player. Mark Owen. Anyway, so Pete's friend was Zach Danziger, who at the time was recording Long to Be Loose with Wayne Krantz.
Wow.
So he came out, he just wanted to get the hell out of New York, so he came on the ship, and we kind of had a nice hookup. I think Pete had been telling him that I was good.
Right.
So I kind of asked him, I was like, you think I should move to New York? He goes, yeah, you should totally move to New York.
Okay.
And then, when I got to New York, it took, because I wasn't like chopsy, I'm sort of like kind of, what's the word? An acquired taste, if
okay.
you will. So basically, Zach kept talking me up to people. And finally some people started hiring me. It took a long time though. I was working a day gig for 2.5 years.
I was going to say, what was the time period of moving there to actually just make
2.5 years.
2.5 years?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm really interested. Personally, it was around the same time, and I asked everyone.
Yeah, I mean, you know who else is similar? Who worked, day gigs and it was Dave Binney.
Oh yeah.
It was,
He's from LA, right?
He's from LA. Yeah. He came to New York, and he was, he paid dues too.
Yeah.
So I had a day gig for 2.5 years.
So New York, essentially a dues-paying city when you first moved.
Yeah.
And your perception of LA compared to that so far? I mean, you've obviously been coming to LA to work for many years. Yeah. What is your perception of that as opposed to New York? I mean, you have a name now, you have a career, you have a resume. So where do you think you fit into that scene now, or where do you hope you fit into that scene?
What, here, you say?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think, like I said, I feel like I can do anything. I mean, I'm hoping that, through some of my connections, I've done TV in New York, so for instance, it would be great to do a TV gig once in a while.
Sure.
I've recorded films out here. like the Ocean's movies and blah blah blah.
Right,
And
right,
so I hope I can get on a film date.
Sure.
And then I feel like I feel like I'm valuable in the studio as I play. I can play kind of any style and electric
Right.
in my own quirky way, and I can also play upright. So it's like I feel like I have a lot to offer. Hopefully,
As far as a utility kind of.
yeah. I mean, I can sort of blend into the background. I mean, I haven't been doing that last
Right.
couple of years because people have been calling me to play these like outlandish electronic.
See, now that's the thing. I mean, that's probably what I know you most for
Right.
is that sound. Like, it's a very unique sound, and I think I've interviewed a bunch of people, and a lot of discussion has come
Yes.
from. Let me put that in this
Put that
brown
in there.
box. Yeah.
Thank you. Without this, I'd be nobody. And to tell you the truth, this is setting. This is the. This is actually. This is not. This is not it. Yes, it is actually.
Hang on.
This is the JoJo Mayer setting. There you go, right there. He's got two of them. And the truth is, and you know this because you play with JoJo too. Yeah, 4 of these. You should hang on to these. He's
I
gonna
have
be,
like 11, but yeah.
he's gonna
go
be
on.
like Tube Screamer soon.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
This is the JoJo Mayer setting. Who apparently somebody in Europe told him how it. Right? Remember?
Oh,
This-
yeah, dude,
I don't
that's where
take
I
credit-
got it from, and he
Yeah.
told me he got it from you.
No,
But
he-
you got it from him.
I got it from him. He said, "Yeah, try turning the direct off." Maybe he got it from Jonathan Marin. I don't know. But like
Oh,
back
yeah.
when we were doing the Shine gigs back
Yeah.
in the day,
Yep.
it was like me and Jesse Murphy and Jonathan Marin, and sometimes like Schooley. But he told me to use this setting. I was
That's
like,
the-
that's just kind of like.
That's the way to go. Man.
From there, it's just like it's a whole litany.
Taken off. So
Yeah.
a lot of the I get these out of
Yeah.
your way. A lot of people who are watching are going to want to know about that side of your scene, about your gear, and
Absolutely.
What is that? What is your setup?
Right now, yeah, it's always a Boss OC2, always. Although with Chris Bodie, who I've been doing a decent amount of gigs with the last
Right.
couple of years, I picked up the Boss. I mean, the MXR Bass Octave Deluxe, which
Yep.
is pretty good actually. It's not quite as, it's pretty fat sounding. It's like close enough. And what I like about it is because I play an active 5-string with Chris, so it doesn't blow out like that. The OC2 is kind of susceptible to getting blown out by gain
Right.
from an active bass. So the Boss is a little more. I mean, not the Boss. The MXR is a little more, a little smoother with it.
Okay.
It doesn't distort as easily.
And anything else in your signal chain, like must-haves that you don't leave the house with?
Well, yeah. I mean, it depends depending on the gig. I mean, basically, right now I'm always playing the OC2. If it's sort of like an electronic gig, yeah, OC2. I got a bunch of distortion pedals, overdrives I'm trying out, mostly from my bass maker, this guy Mulan.
Okay.
Yeah. Who made me a great P bass. I'll show you in a sec.
Cool.
And he makes unbelievably great overdrive pedals. So I have something called the Lotus Octa, which is pretty.
I want one just because of what it's
Yeah,
called.
it's amazing. And then the bass octave deluxe is pretty. I mean, not the bass. The bass overdrive is pretty killing.
Okay.
And I'm also my new toy of flavor of the month is the Electro Harmonics frequency analyzer,
Ooh.
which is the bomb dropper.
Okay.
I mean, I use it because it's like it tracks freely and it's a ring modulator, but it's got
Okay.
the subs are pretty amazing.
And
And I sort of
I was close to buying the Moog ring modulator. Maybe I'll go with that one.
yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Pretty incredible.
Plus, Mark Giuliano showed me another setting a couple weeks ago. That's even more.
What's it with drummers
I
and
know.
their bass sets?
Yeah, they're pretty inventive guys. I mean, so yeah, Giuliano showed me this other thing that's pretty, which I hadn't used before. Because I'll demonstrate if you want.
Sure.
But there's a couple little filter things that are pretty amazing.
All right, so here we have. Talk to me about your bass just for a second, because you've been raving to me about it.
Okay, this is a Mulan P Classic from my friend in Youngjoon Park in Seoul, South Korea. Who actually I went there with Wayne and Keith, Wayne Cranston, Keith Corlock, and last March, and he came to the gig and handed me this bass, and I was like, what?
Wow.
And I was there with my 70s P, and I was like, I like my 70s P better, and I kind of started playing this like a lot the rest of the year, mostly because I was like, okay, it's a new bass, and I could travel with it and fuck it up and it'll be okay. But man, I really like this thing. It's totally hollow, like a real P. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, so we started to rap about pedals just
Yes,
now, and
yes.
now we have everything plugged in and on the floor.
Yes.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
Okay. Obviously the OC2.
Yes, very important. Yep.
And then this is a Mulan Lotus Octave, which basically, to me, it's a guitar pedal. So it's supposed to sort of sound like Jimi Hendrix on All on the Watchtower, like that sort of high octave while you're playing guitar. And if you play really light, it kind of gets that. But to me, I use it as an octave pedal.
Okay.
I mean, not an octave pedal, as a fuzz. It's pretty neat, pretty mean.
Wow.
And it's got tons of low end.
So it is a guitar pedal, but it doesn't lose that low punch.
And then you combine it
With the OC2. Great.
You know, there's that. Okay, and then this is the regular. This is like more of a conventional bass overdrive. This is the bass drive by Mulan. So it sounds more like a it gives you a good rock bass sound. You know. And it keeps the tone of the instrument. You know, whereas the Lotus Octave kind of destroys the tone and just kind of makes it Fuzzville. You know.
Okay.
And then the new weapon these days is the frequency analyzer by Electro Harmonix.
Whoa. It's very New York and not very LA at all.
Yeah. Although I did a gig last week at the Brig and I kind of snuck it in a few times. I was like, what?
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
but what's fun about it is you can modulate it on the fly. Like usually on a gig, I'll tape it down to the floor and then just kind of go. You know. Kind of like Wayne does with his, you know, but you can do it yourself.
Is he using that one or is he using the Moog?
He's using the Mooger Fugger. Yeah.
The ring modulator, okay. But this is a lot smaller, I'm guessing a lot lighter.
And the subs are insane. To blow away any subs, you know, if you heard this through a PA, it'd freak people out.
Nice. So I mean, I want you to eventually use one of these with it as well.
What's that?
This, the DoD, the meat box,
Ooh.
which is a.
I have the Gonculator modulator was part of my sound for a long time.
Which one?
The Gonculator modulator, which is a distortion ring modulator. We cut out all the low end, but it was awesome. It's on a bunch. It's on like Ori Kane, Bedrock Records and stuff. Yeah. So anyway, so that's the lineup. So you know,
That's the setup.
basically, you know, like a lot of times I was doing. You can notice, like when you play the Lotus Octave, it's playing an octave up above.
Right.
But you know, then if my MXR was working right now, I could demonstrate some filter stuff for you, but it's not working.
All good. All good.
But yeah, I mean, you know, that's
Very cool. So.
yes.
Aside from being a massive fan of your playing, I'm a fan.
It's mutual. No, really.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm a fan of the way you conduct yourself in the scene. I think that's and the time you've been around the scene and the kind of gigs you've done has been is just testament to that. I think, you know what I mean. It's like, and I think a lot of people have questions about. A, how do I become that player? You know, what goes into that, the process of practicing, what do you listen to, what do you transcribe? But B, if I'm lucky enough to get there, how do I stick around? You know what I mean? What are the other aspects, the non-musical aspects, the social aspects of being in scenes like the ones you're involved in? So what have been some of your experiences with that? And what would you say are the big pluses that you come to the table with?
I mean, you know, which you already have. You have this yourself. It's a sense of humor about. And that if you can manage to not take yourself too seriously, because it's only music. You know, it's like, I mean, it's good to take yourself seriously on a couple fronts, which is like, you know, learn the shit out of the music or play the shit out of the stuff when you're playing. You know,
Right.
with people. I mean, but other than that, I mean, I don't know. Most of the successful people I know are good natured. A, B. Not all, but like most of them are. You know, there's some idiot savants out there who are, you know, like unpleasant but amazing. And it's
Right.
just like, you know, there's your share of those too. I don't know. I just think, yeah, I think it helps to not get too serious about, you know, okay, like there may be some gigs that you're just not right for, and it's just like, all right, well, and there's stuff that like, you know, it's part of my, you know, my whole like kind of like figuring myself out. Like you it's not always about you. You know what I mean? You can't make all this stuff about you. If someone doesn't use you on a gig, it's not because it's not. I mean, it may have a small part to maybe you're not taking care of business or you're just the wrong fit or something like that. But it's not really about you. It's about, you know, and you can't let stuff like that bother you. Although it's really hard.
Yeah.
Believe me, you know.
Oh, I know. I think we've both been through
Really
that
hard.
in New York. It's like New York of all places
Yeah.
is a tough city. Like we talked about paying dues earlier on.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm gonna go through it here. You know, I'm gonna take some rejection. And it's like, you know, and I want to say to people, say, well, don't you know who I am? And it's just like, you know, it's not gonna help.
Yeah.
Well, it's not gonna help. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like, you know, you'll either see me someplace where you think, okay, I mean, you know, if I'm gonna be on stage with a bass in my hands, then I don't have to say anything. I don't have to beg.
Right.
Hopefully, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so you're here. It's what is it today? It's April 3rd.
April
I want
3rd.
to make a
April
timestamp
3rd, 2011.
We will check in at a later date. It's
Yeah.
April 3rd, 2011. I need your prediction for the Red Sox. We had opening day 2 days ago.
We've been swept since.
Wow. I
Yeah.
haven't even been following it. I've been so
The
busy.
pitching was horrible.
Okay. So is early blues or long
I
term
mean, it's a long season.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean,
160
the
something
Yankees
games.
used to start out like this all the time and then win the World Series. So
Right.
I don't know. I mean, they're supposedly on paper best team in the AL East.
Okay.
We'll see.
So positive for the Red Sox,
Yeah.
and I'm afraid I'm a big Lakers fan, and you got to be a Celtics fan.
I'm a total Celtics fan.
And predictions: is it going to be first of all a Lakers Celtics final?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, the Bulls look really good.
Yeah. And the Lakers lost today, which is a.
But
real
I think
pain.
don't the Miami Heat always beat the Bulls, and the Celtics always beat the Heat. So
So with that logic, you reckon?
I don't know. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean,
Okay.
that's tough. The first three teams and Orlando's good too.
Yep.
The first four teams in the East are rough.
Okay.
You know, I mean, for the Celtics to get out of that, you know, I don't know. I would say at this point, probably not.
Okay.
I mean, they lost Kendrick Perkins, and it seems to
them hard,
they've lost a lot of games
Yeah.
recently since. I mean, but it shouldn't have because they were 31-4 without him. So who knows?
Who knows?
They're
All
not
right, well, dude, I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to come by, and I'm
Thank
sure
you for
everyone
having me.
watching
I'm
does.
flattered. Thank you for putting up with me, the listening public.